Tan Desai.
Thank you very much, Ms. Elliott, and it is a pleasure to serve under your chairship. I'm grateful to be able to speak on such an important debate, banning animal testing today within Parliament, following the signatures of hundreds of thousands of people from across our country on official parliamentary petitions. As members here today will know, this was not the intended day for this debate. Sadly, remembrance proceedings following the shocking death of one of our colleagues meant this debate had rightly been postponed. My heartfelt condolences to the wife and family of my honourable friend, Sir David Amis. We have lost a parliamentarian of enormous experience, intellect and warmth, someone with an infectious smile who used that cheeky smile without being reprimanded by Mr. Speaker, while he somehow squeezed into virtually every single debate about the need to make Southend-on-Sea a city. Sir David also did a great deal of work on animal rights. In fact, as my honourable friend, the member for Linlithgow, mentioned, I'm very sure he would have joined us here to speak in today's debate. He was responsible for introducing the Protection Against Cruel Tethering Act 1988, campaigned against puppy mills and wildlife trafficking, and this year, as my honourable friend from Stockport noted, he tabled an EDM to end animal experiments. Madam Chair, we need to adopt modern methods which do not require the suffering of animals, and that is why we are all here today. And it is in the spirit of kindness, cooperation and humanity that I think this issue should be considered. In 1998, animal testing on ingredients exclusively used in cosmetics was banned within our country. Yet that very same year, we saw a modern-day low of 2.7 million procedures involving animals, even though the overwhelming majority of this testing, as my honourable friend from Easington and Putney noted, was unsuccessful and proves to be of absolutely no use for human advancement. This testing actually peaked in 2015 to 4.1 million, meaning that whilst very recent numbers of experiments have been falling, last year noted a 6% rise in procedures since 1997. In fact, previous statistics have indicated we have topped the grim leaderboard for the most animal experiments per person in the EU. Our 3Rs policy to replace, reduce and refine to limit the number of animals used in science, pushing licence applicants to consider alternatives as far as possible, clearly is not having the desired effect. And that is why I feel government needs to change its policy. Yet we are a nation of animal lovers. Indeed, my inbox is often overflowing with concerns about animal rights and legislation impacting them. And survey after survey indicates that public acceptance of animal testing is dependent on there being no viable alternative. So how can we allow such barbarity within our science when these modern day alternatives actually exist? Innovations such as complex cell models, CCMs, have the potential to use human tissue to provide data that is far more relevant to patients than animal tests, and could even replace animal procedures in their entirety. There are a plethora of approaches, and even some areas of research are being held back by animal testing. With a recent report on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's research noting that, and I quote, "One important obstacle to progress in the field of neurodegenerative diseases is the heavy reliance on animal models, which are failing to capture key features of human biology and disease." So, Ms. Elliott, showing that in part, moving forward and modernising our scientific trials and testing can actually benefit both humans and animals, making scientific methods more relevant to human health. As a vegetarian, as has been noted by others within the debate, I feel that we should be a world leader in scientific innovation. Have we not moved on from such brutal acts on sentient beings who have no say? And sadly, this government's record on protecting animals is certainly not very promising. As usual, focused on grandiose language and gestures rather than implementing policy which will actually affect change. Delaying animal welfare legislation on the Kept Animals Bill, on increasing sentences for animal cruelty, and instead choosing to legislate on trophy hunting rather than the simpler and more effective measure of the Home Secretary simply no longer issuing licences. And the most recent media reports on this matter sadly suggest that the Home Office could actually pave a way for a return to animal testing for cosmetics. So I'll ask the Minister today for the government's plan. We need a review of the Animals Scientific Procedures Act of 1986 to commit to properly ending animal testing for good, ensure that we are eliminating any avoidable procedures on animals, ban the export and import of animals for research unless with specific Home Office consent, and commit to proper investment in non-animal based research methods and technologies to encourage further innovation and work in this field. Madam Chair, we need to use this opportunity to press forward and not look back, and invest in our future where there's scope and opportunities for change. Because if the government fail to grasp this challenge, I fear that this outdated practice will simply proliferate. Thank you very much. Thank you.